In this series of videos, you'll learn how to set up DesignSmart for your company. This is done in a part of the system called System Preferences. To get to System Preferences, click on the gear on the upper right of any screen. If you are set up in DesignSmart as an administrator, which we are, clicking on the gear will take you to this screen. Here, there are a series of tabs where you can set up your staff, your company logo, your standard markups, and much more. In this video, we will only cover the Defaults tab. The first tab under Defaults is the Company tab, shown here. Simply fill in your company information, such as default ship-to address and ship-to city. The second tab is the Settings tab. Here you will find 4 subcharge fields that you can define any way that you would like. The first 2 are typically set to freight and labor. The other 2 are often things like receiving, crating, or other. To give you a better understanding where these terms fit into your project, we are going to jump to the Item Detail screen. Here is the Pricing tab in the Item Detail screen. You can see the 4 possible additional subcharges that we'd entered earlier: freight, labor, receiving, and other. One thing to note is that the subcharge terms you enter into System Preferences will apply to all projects. Once you define these terms, it is not recommended that they be changed. The radio buttons below are not key to setting up DesignSmart at this time and will be covered separately in the user guide. In the Markups tab, you can set your default markups for the subcharges that you entered on the previous tab. Let's say that your firm marks up merchandise 30%. So in the Merchandise field, you'd enter 0.3. Click anywhere in the gray area to turn your decimal into a percent. Setting markups under System Preferences means when you create a new project, that project will automatically be assigned this default markup percent of 30%. And if you're wondering, okay, but can we change this markup amount for specific projects? The answer is that yes, you can. We'll cover individual project settings in videos ahead. The Client Deposit tab is next and is relatively simple. The client deposit percent is most often used by residential design firms. It sets the minimum amount of deposit you want for each item. Let's put in 50%. So, when you create a new project, the client deposit amount for that project will be set to the amount on this tab, which in this case is 50%. And like the markups on the previous tab, you can always change the client deposit at the project level. And finally, we have the Terms tab. Here you will enter the verbiage that you want to appear on proposals. When you create a new project, these terms will be pushed to the project where you can edit them if necessary. Let's say that your firm has a policy that all sales are final, so you might enter something like this. So before we conclude this lesson, let's create a sample project. So here we are at the Projects List view. We will click on the New Project button. Doing that will take us to the Project Details view. So let's give our new project a name. We'll cover this layout and how to create new projects in another video, but on this layout, you can see the default client deposit we entered in System Preferences, which was filled in from our defaults in System Preferences. If we wanted to edit this value just for this project, we could do so on this screen. Changing the value to 40 reduces the minimum client deposit to 40% for just this project. Let's look at the other things that DesignSmart filled in. DesignSmart displays our settings for markup, freight, labor, and so on. These values may also be edited. The Terms tab also displays what you had entered and may be edited on a per-project basis. That concludes this tutorial. In this video, we covered the details part of System Preferences. We saw how DesignSmart loaded those values into new projects. We then saw how we could alter those defaults on a per-project level.